He wasn't monetized on TikTok.
Yeah, until like
I literally,
What?
I was
Yeah.
talking.
So basically, you have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, you're feeding Star. So I have to thank you for.
Well, no, I'm paying for college. I'm
Yeah,
the reason.
basically.
I sent him the first payment I got.
This guy has
Breeds tots.
literally every video he does goes viral. Every video on TikTok, he literally goes, "Oh, it's like there's money." He like didn't know, and I'm like, "Dude, you're having a baby.
That is amazing.
What are you doing?"
Hello and welcome back to the Friday Feels episode of the U Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana, but it is even better to be back with a very special guest. He is returning to the podcast. I think it's his third time. One of them might have gotten lost on the editing room floor.
What
I
did I
got
say?
fired.
What did I say?
You were good.
Yes. We did a whole episode. It was like we had a producer. This was like I think he said he could edit podcasts, but then this was like years ago.
Right.
And then we finished the recording and he's like, so there might be an issue. I don't know if I pressed the button.
Oh my
That
And
was-
goodness.
Jordana, I looked over and she goes, "You're fired and you'll never work on this town again."
I can see that. I
It was
I did not do
unbelievable.
that.
Well, let me introduce our
someone
guest, Nimesh Patel. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me back.
Great to have you.
Always
Yeah,
fun.
we had that first episode we taped.
Yes. And then you came back. You came back for real. People loved you. Fan favorite. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show,
Yes.
a
Thank
friend
you
of the
very
pod,
much.
a fop.
I get people saying like, "Oh, we saw you on Jared and Jordana's thing." I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh, really
awesome.
sick."
I always thought this, like when you watch someone on a podcast that like, this isn't Jerry Seinfeld. This is not, Russell Peters. This is not, this is a nobody. This is a loser. This is
Ground floor
right.
shit.
You have the rookie card. Be a part of it. Be a
Yeah.
part of it. Even though, Nimesh is, huge on TikTok.
I'm working.
You're working.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a working comic.
We're all
What-
hustling.
We're
Hustling.
hustling.
Yes. Comics, I feel like, are hustling. I mean, I don't want to say more than anyone else, nurses, whatever. But like, I do feel like you guys are like, it's sort of like part of your thing that
coasting
you're
nurses.
hustling. Like, that's like, so you can't like, there's no comic that like tells you things are chill, I feel.
It's an underrated thing, and I do think it's a new thing. I think like a lot of like comics back in the day, it was like, oh, you get to go on the road. You wake up at 4. You go do your shows.
Well, it's never been. I hear what you're saying, but it's never been more in our control.
Right.
What happens to us?
That is true.
Okay.
Like Nimesh coming and doing this show is you getting up, getting out of the house. I mean, you texted me. The special's coming out. I'm like, you're coming on the show.
Right.
We all feel it's at our fingertips.
Yep.
And social media is like the problem and the solution. Like, it's like you hate it, but you love it and you need
Right.
it. And
Do you guys like that it's more in your control, or is it more stressful?
I think it's a different kind of stress because back when we started, there were a lot more. The gatekeepers remain; they still exist, but back then they had a lot more. I don't want to say power, but they were.
there was no other way.
Yeah, there's no other way except like Comedy Central or the early Netflix days. People were like, okay, these are the people that are going to do it, and there's only a certain amount of space for people to be seen.
Right.
Okay.
With social media, it became on us. To get our comedy out there became the people in control of it. Jared, I'm sure, knows how to edit. Like everyone is like a basic editor.
Right.
Everyone's like a social media maven. Everyone's like try to study the algorithms. Jared and I could probably talk ad nauseum about like what we think works, like how to alpha and beta test clips and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. It's so much more in our control.
Nimesh and I were going to open mics. We started literally my first time doing comedy. I met Nimesh outside of an open mic. He's all cocky. He's like, "Let me show you the ropes, kid." He's been doing it a year.
Yeah.
And we were at Penny's open mic.
Was that Penny's?
It was Penny's open mic on
Hilarious.
St. Mark's. And I remember, I don't know if I told this story here.
No.
I go to the open mic. I've never been before, and it's a bucket open mic. You put your name in a bucket on a Tuesday night. It started, I think, at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And Penny, who was this like bohemian, beautiful woman.
Gothic. I don't know what her vibe. Her vibe was crazy, but she was awesome.
And Nimesh is like, yeah. Like I walk up and he's like, yeah, just put your name in the bucket and they'll pick them out. And it's all, when they pick out your name, you can sign your name in the list and go up anytime you want. I'm like, great, maybe I'll go like first or third or fifth. And then so she goes up to the front, she starts picking out names. And it's like this name, that name. And then Nimesh gets picked and he goes up. He's got like the fourth spot. He's got like the hot spot. And then they keep picking names. And then I'm picked like 1,000.
Is anyone left?
So like I'm literally second
end?
to
Okay.
last.
This is what Jared is coming into in that like the Penny's open mic at that point existed for a long time and there were regulars who came like every week.
Right.
And obviously I mean, Jared didn't know this. I had learned this, over my tenure going to the show, that she stacked the deck.
Yeah, she fixed the fucking bucket.
Okay. It's not random.
Big socialist is out there. It's fair for everybody. And I'm like, oh, cool. We all get a chance. And then I'm fucking last because I'm a big loser.
You're like, I would have paid if you had known that it was going to happen.
Double. So
Right.
Nimesh already knew the ropes.
On that note, Nimesh, so you're married, right? Hey, how many kids do you have?
Just one.
Just one?
Just had a baby.
Yeah, just had a baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Do you feel like since you've had a baby, you feel like that's affected, your hustle, like kind of like what you're just talking about, just in the fact that maybe you don't want to be.
I hate being away, but I also like know that I need to be away. It's like this balance of like, and it's just speaking from my perspective of like, I think as a man, I feel like I need to be a provider. So like I need to do all the stuff I can do to make sure that this baby is well fed and doesn't have to worry about anything. But I'm also like, I want to be there all the time, constantly.
He wasn't monetized on TikTok.
Yeah, until like
I literally,
What?
I was
Yeah.
talking.
So basically, you have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, you're feeding his daughter. So I have to thank you for.
Well, no, I'm paying for college. I'm the
Yeah,
reason.
basically.
I sent him the first payment I got.
This guy has
Breeds tots.
literally every video he does goes viral. Every video on TikTok, I get like crap. Like I get like nothing, and I'm making like money from TikTok, and I'm like, oh my god, there's so like
Wow.
it's like it's an actual amount of money that you can't like disregard.
Right.
And then Nimesh is on my podcast, J Train. And on the podcast, he literally goes, "Oh, it's like there's money." He like didn't know, and I'm like, "Dude, you're having a baby.
That is amazing.
What are you doing?"
I literally was like, well, because to me, I thought the monetization on TikTok was like pennies. Like I thought
Right, I
like,
would assume that because usually that kind of stuff is. Usually it's
like
like
nothing,
we'll give
It
you 10
is-
cents for every million views you get or something. Right?
It's not a lot unless you're Nimesh. My eyes, if you could see how like I reacted, I was like, "Are you like? How are you gonna be a
I
dad?"
texted I texted my sister because like I told her I was like, I messed up.
I was like, he's like, "Is it $100?" I was like, "Nimesh, I'm sending you social services to your house to take away your baby."
I was
Like,
so mad. Like I still punch myself over it, thinking of like how much money I missed out on over the last 2-3 years that I could have been monetizing.
and this is the thing
Right.
TikTokers
I mean-
don't talk about. TikTokers are a bunch of fucking grifter assholes. If they're doing story time, if it gets to a minute, they're gonna make money.
Right.
Okay.
Nimesh is putting out like real material.
Yeah.
He's not like sitting there being like, "Okay, get it to a minute one."
Right.
Like he's like putting out like things he cares about.
Right, it's just jokes.
And it's just
Yeah.
jokes. And
Right.
it's like, so
Well, maybe
you
that's
should
why-
be making
but
money
that's
from
probably
that.
why he's good at it, because he didn't start out like
Right.
trying to make money off of it. You're trying to just like get followers, get people like with a more pure intention,
Right.
right?
Did you want kids? Have you always wanted kids?
I think so.
I think this is like, this brings us to this show. The You Up Podcast is a relationship show.
Uh-huh.
There's people here who are like just dating. They're like, when does kids come up? Like, how does a man, like I'm trusted with how does a man, answering for men.
Uh-huh.
That
Well,
people
what's
may
your
not
answer?
Similar, like
Yeah.
the
Like, I guess, yeah,
I-
sure,
like I've
yeah.
always, I'm beginning to like get my, my speech
I feel like
in
for men,
order.
it's like I don't not want kids. Is that kind of your thought?
That's
like,
my thing is like I want to. Now I'm at the point where I'm like I want to see what the next episode of this show is.
right.
Like that's kind of, and that's like not a good reason.
No,
How did you feel?
I think there's like a moment of clarity, of several moments of clarity where you just wake up, where you're out until the sun comes up, and you're just like, what is this? What
What's
am I
the
doing?
point?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
And
Oh, I had that in Australia like every night.
but more than that,
What am I doing here?
I was talking to my cousin, and I asked him, I was like, "What?" He's got a kid, and like right around the same age, and I was like, "What? So why did you want to have kids?" And he's like, he literally said, he's an anesthesiologist, and he literally said, "The world needs another me." And I thought that
This is for
What a
society.
doctor answer.
For
What a piece of
society,
shit.
yeah.
I found that the most profound thing I'd ever heard. Just like, yeah, that's a perfect reason.
Right. Very charitable. Very charitable.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm like the
yeah.
world doesn't need another
The
me. I'm
world-
enough me for this
But
world.
for me, it just felt like, I don't know, just I felt something to calling me to be a father.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that calling has been answered. I mean, obviously it's been answered, but like I feel like this is what I was kind of meant to be right
yeah.
here, at least part of me.
That's great. And do you feel like your relationship has changed?
100%. I mean, every couple that has kids like experiences this in the first few months because priority number one is no longer each other. It is the baby.
Right.
And now you are people raising a person. And so like all your priorities shift.
Right. Well,
So your marriage
biologically.
is in a rut, is what you're saying.
No, it's not in a rut. It definitely was.
So you have moments, well, you're seeing each other in a different light.
And all your time becomes compressed. And then on top of that, you have no time for yourself. And I'm a very individualistic person, as is my wife, where you need that alone time, but you don't have that anymore because you're constantly focused on the most important thing in your life.
Right. Now, if there was a question you would have asked, like if you were like, if someone that is out there dating, is there a question you would ask a partner before getting into all this?
It definitely impacts your relationship in a positive way in the sense you're like, you see each other like, she's an incredible mom.
Do you have like more respect for each other almost?
Yeah, it's like the there's love that she gives to the baby that is obviously the mom love, but it's hard to describe what it is to see.
Well, I think men, maybe there's more of like a chance here. Like I think I don't know, maybe this is my bias, but like you kind of like see it, like a woman's like ready to be a mom. Like, right. And I think like the report you get from a lot of women is like, yeah, this guy doesn't do shit. Like I think there's more of a chance that the guy
is the narrative,
could be.
yes.
Yeah, the narrative, right?
Yes,
that's out there is like these men are like not doing a lot or don't know what to do with themselves or whatever. Like,
oh yeah, no, but I'm very much like I'm
hands-on
there all the time. Like we had the first month or two we had a night nurse.
Okay.
And it was almost as if like we didn't need like 24-hour help. It was almost as if like she didn't have to be there like during the day because like if the baby cried, I was there anyway. Like the night nurse was like, like I'm here. I'm like, I know. She's like, you pay me. I'm like, I'm aware, but let me wipe the diaper and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's great. Breaking glass ceilings.
That's right.
Showing men how it's done.
I think that like but I would be concerned. Like, I'd be like in the night nurse's ear, being like, am I doing it better than the other losers out there? Like, am I killing it or not? Like I would want to. Do you ever ask them?
My night nurse was a little too vocal about how much more involved I was than.
So you felt it. You didn't feel like you were getting bullshit because you.
No. I mean, to the point I probably annoyed her a little bit.
Right. She's probably like,
get out of the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to ask just because, I feel like Jared, you've said before that a lot of your married friends pitch marriage is like, make sure you pick the right person. Kind of like a warning.
That kind of goes into the question I was asking before. Is like, how do you a lot of my married friends are like, they hear from the married people that aren't doing well. And they're like, thank goodness that I am like comfortable in where I am.
Or that I pick I think you've mentioned
pick the right person. Partner. Yeah. That like
the fear that men have of getting into it with someone with the wrong person.
Right. Do you know what I mean? Like,
how long have you guys been you and Ruffin together?
10 years. More than 11 years.
Oh, so you had a lot of time before you had this baby to make sure the relationship was like pretty solid.
No, we were together for a while.
But is there a question you would recommend to people dating to like
suss out how they're gonna be as a parent?
Well, I guess not suss out how they're gonna be a parent, but how they view the whole thing.
Well, do you feel like in the way that he's saying his friends are like, make sure that you are in it with the right person. Do you feel like there's a way to know that, or is that just something that they're saying just to scare the shit out of singles?
It's a very different thing to have someone be right for you when you're like without a kid, than to have someone who is right for you with a child. I think they complement each other, but it's almost a different. A different part of them gets activated when a kid comes into place, because you got to the heart of your own question when you ask, like, how do you view the compromise? And that's really what it is, because you are compromising yourself quite a bit. Like, part of you is gone when you have a kid. That part of you that was like, I'm just be out, like I can be myself, I can do like that guy is dead.
Right.
Because it's in service of something else now.
He's frozen. Yeah. He's in like this time capsule for a little while. And he's gonna wake back up when the kid becomes a bit more independent and they have their own lives and stuff, but until then, that person is dormant. And that I think is the biggest question. How comfortable would you be freezing this existence for the next 5 to 7 years?
It's a good point. You know, and some people, you know, like I think of my lifestyle, like I'm thinking of like what would get frozen.
Yeah.
Not things I'm like in need of, like maybe like a martini at the bar while I do question and answers on Instagram stories. Like that's not like necessary to my life. Like,
Right,
that
but
would be
you might
baby
enjoy
time.
it.
How comfortable are you losing the things that bring you joy today and replacing them with things that potentially may bring you joy, but will also will definitely bring you joy, but also will definitely infuriate you, make you sad, all that stuff at the same time?
That's the scariest part to me of the kid thing. Is like, I don't think you can really know
it's
if you're doing it right. Like
fear is almost an unwarranted fear because you will always feel you're doing it wrong in part.
Right.
That doesn't go away, but you just have to. You power through.
Well, to
Don't
what
question
you were
themselves.
saying before, it almost feels like there's a lot more bad dads from what I hear. And you seem like really invested, but I do think from what I hear, just anecdotally, there's a lot of women married to men where it feels like they love the baby and they like being a dad, but they're not it doesn't feel like as big of a part of their identity or their life.
I would assume that's during baby times too, specifically. Because like there's less shame. I get this goes back to dating. There's like no shame on men for like doing dating as like a side hobby. You know,
Right,
like
not
there's
as their full-time
right.
gig.
I think there's a lot of societal influence in that regard. It's really, I think it'll be like a generation or two from now where it becomes completely normal for the guy to be just as involved in caring and taking care of the baby. Maternity leave is still much longer than paternity leave.
And the fact that you like work for yourself is almost probably makes it harder because you're like, I haven't been given a couple weeks off that now you're kind of like, you have to decide how much time you want to spend with the...
I thought about the other day is like when you're in these moments like, man, I wish I had a day job. Just like I gotta go.
Right.
Like I have to.
There's no
everything is
question.
your choice to do or not do.
Whereas right now I'm just like,
I gotta go to Sacramento.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas right now it's like on a day-to-day basis, like I don't necessarily need to be doing the 12 podcasts I'm going to be doing.
Nimesh can do less podcasts and more fathering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
My baby
And
needs
so
this.
Jared's TikTok tip can pay for it. Yes.
Uncle Jared came through.
Yeah.
Let's answer this question, then we'll do an email from a listener, if
Sure.
that's okay. I like this question. I got this from one of Jordana's fancy dinner parties. Peaks and pits.
Peaks and pits, okay?
Okay? Peak of parenting. What's the peak?
There's a lot of peaks during the day. In the morning, she's like annoyed when she has to wake up, but then the instant she sees myself or Amy, she's just like bright-eyed smile. I'm just like, wow.
Aww.
Just purely
Nerd.
You're so happy.
So sweet.
It's
boring.
It's so funny. She's also just like the funniest person, you know, just like
Get out of here.
takes a shit in your
She
hand.
told jokes.
Jared's
takes shits in
jealous.
your hand.
He's like, I thought I
I'm
was
sick of this.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Everything they're doing is for the first time ever.
Right.
Because you're like experiencing like it's almost like you're experiencing the
Yeah,
world
like
for the first
right.
time through someone else.
It's insane to see that.
Okay, the pit.
There's two. One of them happens like every 4 hours, which is you got to feed them like every 3 to 4 hours. She takes forever to eat all the food, so it's like
Slow eater.
slow eater. Just
Okay.
like
I could never date her.
just like, and also maybe once or twice a week. It's been like maybe a week or two of this. We're transitioning her to formula because she has a dairy allergy.
Slow eater and
They're tied together. Kind of.
okay. She sounds annoying.
He's gonna kill you.
No, I feel it. Sometimes like, baby, what?
Yeah. You're talking
What are
shit
you- what
about
are
his
you
daughter.
doing?
Milk and a slow eater. Ugh.
She is half white. and sometimes like the formula just makes her take the biggest shits. They smell awful. And you're like, bro, what are you eating?
Next time, call Jared over. He'll change the diaper.
I'll take
Right.
a picture of the shit for you.
Have you ever changed a diaper in your whole life?
No, what? Whose
diaper?
diaper am I
I
going to
don't know.
change?
I
My
don't know.
grandma's?
You want TikTok content? Invite Jared over and just say, change a diaper how you think it would be done.
Yeah, they call diapers.
You'll see.
That would get child services over the house. They'd be like, that's a bad dad move.
Yeah.
Let's answer an email.
Let's do it.
We have a listener email.
Hi, J&J. Longtime listener, appreciate all the advice you've given over the years. It's helped me get through some challenging moments in relationships. I'll get right into it. My boyfriend, 34, and I, 32, have been dating for a year. His previous relationship lasted 5 years, and they lived together. Naturally, he had pictures of her on his Instagram grid. He mentioned he scrubbed his Instagram of pictures with her in the early stages of us dating. I rarely go on Instagram, so I took that at face value and never checked his page to confirm. Recently, I saw that he still had one slide of photos with her on his grid, where a picture of them two is the main photo. I asked if he could archive this because I felt uncomfortable that it was still up there. He said he would do it, and we didn't revisit the topic. A couple of months later, I noticed it was still there, and I asked again if he would archive it. Again, he said he would do it. I then asked why he hasn't yet, and he said, I will do it, but at my convenience. I was a bit taken aback by his answer and confused about what is preventing him from doing this. I checked today and it's still up there. I feel this is a simple gesture and we've been together for a year now, but have not hard launched on Instagram yet. We've met each other's friends and families and he's posted and tagged me on his stories, so he isn't hiding me. But the ex's picture being there is bothering me. Please help. My questions are, I know they still follow each other on Instagram. Does that play any part in this? Should we go one by one?
We could go one by one, but I just love like having Nimesh here with a 5-month-old kid. I'm wondering,
does that change your perspective?
Yeah, do you hear this and go, what the fuck are people worried about?
I'm so glad I like missed this whole like IG official dating nonsense.
All the Instagram etiquette of that. Well, what would you tell your daughter if she asked you?
My daughter was like, my boyfriend of a year is still following his girlfriend.
Well, she has a picture. He has a picture on the grid.
Nimesh, this is a big deal.
Yes. She says, Dad, what do I do?
Ask if they're still fucking, and if they're not, like, just be like, who gives a shit?
Straight to fucking.
Yeah, like a picture is just a picture. I think I would ask my kid to be like, all right, ask the guy why they're still holding on. Like, do you still have feelings for them?
I think that's a great way to do it because you're making it, because you're taking it away from what she's making it about, which is the picture.
Right.
But that's not what she really wants to know. The picture is emblematic of like, why can't you get rid of this? Is there something that you're still holding on to?
Right. In which case, like, if you're still holding on to something, maybe you need to figure that out before we continue with this.
Why would he care to not archive this picture, which seems like a very simple thing? I think there is a male thing of like, I just don't want to rattle the cage. I don't want to like set this woman off. And if I do this, I'm just saying he's a
new girlfriend for a year.
This is all under the assumption that a woman is like one prod away from like completely freaking out.
You're talking about the ex.
I'm talking about the ex.
Right.
I think this guy is like being protective of this woman's feelings, who he doesn't really care about. He's with his new girlfriend.
Right.
But he does care to like have her angered again that this is another thing that's happened. He's like, the breakup's done. We're out of it.
I'll always love you. I'll always keep this Instagram posted.
I think it's delusional. It's bad. I don't think it's a good thought. But I'm saying like of the options of why is he being?
Right.
Why
You're saying it's to be nice, basically.
I think he's being nice so that he doesn't interrupt his own comfortability.
But now he's interrupting his comfortability with this girlfriend.
Exactly.
Do you think it's that he doesn't want to be controlled also? Because he's like, I'll do it on my, because otherwise
that's another option. I'm giving one option amongst a series of options to understand what's going on in his head, because it is weird. I would agree with her. It is weird to be like, hey, I saw a picture of you and your ex. Can you archive it? And he's like, I'll do it on my schedule, and then doesn't do it. Like, that's weird.
Seconds.
Right.
It's either he's in love with her. I don't think that's the case.
Right.
It's either that he's afraid of what archiving this picture will do to her mentality, which is protective, but also protecting his own comfortability.
Or he's just at home stroking it.
He likes to masturbate to this picture.
Right.
Also, it's like leaving this part of his life for good. Like the minute he does this, like he might not be in love with this ex, but he might be like, she's still there.
An option.
Right. I mean,
Yes, this is all delusional.
horrible. I mean,
I'm giving to this is he's acting delusionally.
They're
like,
still fucking. That's
Yeah.
what you need to.
I mean, I actually think this is made worse by the fact that there's nothing of the new girlfriend
Right.
on the grid. I think that makes it worse. I think Nimesh's approach is the only way to do it because that's a real conversation, and that's the kind of conversation where you can. Their response kind of can tell you if they are a long-term partner, because are they like dismissing you? They don't want to talk about it. They're like saying it's ridiculous, or are they answering you to like, do they want to reassure you and be open with their feelings and make you guys get closer by actually sharing something intimate? And she has to be okay to hear something she might not want to hear, which is like, this person was a big part of my life. We were together for 5 years. There's something that feels kind of like difficult for me to delete it. It doesn't mean I'm still into her, whatever it is. But like she might hear something that she doesn't like to hear, but that's how you form a more intimate relationship.
she took the breakup tough. I'm afraid of continuing this breakup by her seeing that I've untagged her in something or archived. Yeah, again, the answer is going to give you a fuller person, and it's also to take us back to where we started. Like, you know, to me, this is very similar to like, when do I get mommy time and you get daddy time? Like these conversations all translate.
Right.
You know, like how do you figure out if they're a good dad or mom? Like you said, like this kind of starts that process.
Yes.
What are your
This is
feelings
the-
on keeping up pictures of your ex after we have a child? Yeah, do whatever the fuck you
That'll
want.
I
be-
mean, I mean, what's your discussion with Amy about like talking about the baby in your act? Like about
Or do you post a picture of
No.
baby on the
No photos.
Okay.
no photos.
No,
No
no,
photos.
no
What was
photos,
that
no
discussion?
videos. I've been very private with all my IG is just like clips of stuff and maybe
Right.
like a
Right.
photo of like friends or something like that. But for the most part, it's always just been stand up. No, I've never shared any. I think I've shared a photo of my wife like once.
Wedding photo.
Yeah, like a wedding photo.
Right.
Oh,
But
nice.
beyond that, like nothing. And with the baby, I'll be even more private.
Are you
At
gonna
least-
do like the emoji over the baby's face?
No, no,
Yeah. Whenever people do that, it just makes me want to see the baby more.
Right.
I have to. It's like a dangling a little piece.
Now I want
right?
to see it more. How do you feel about that?
Let me search to see if you've messed up somewhere. Find the software that deletes the emojis.
Show up to their house. Let me see that fucking baby.
I think, like, I mean, my wife knows that I try to maintain our privacy the most that I can. In stand up, the stuff that I'm talking about now is very specific, but it's also somehow very universal to people who have had kids or are contemplating having kids or don't want kids at all. But
Why are you
they're-
looking at me? I'd like a kid.
Yeah.
sure.
As long as she
Doesn't
likes,
eat like a
as long
bitch.
as the baby.
but like the peaks and pits and like
Yeah.
the even more specifics that I just want to keep to myself, to ourselves, like we'll obviously keep very private. We never had a conversation about what I would talk about on stage and all that because I've always just been from the jump very much like private life is private life and personal life is personal life.
And
Right.
you know, I think a good comedian, like you can talk about things that are personal that doesn't embarrass your goal isn't to embarrass the baby or your
Right.
wife. Like when someone's like, "Is this going to be content?" It's like, no, I don't want to talk about you.
A lot of times you'll see someone talking about their wife or kid and you could just be like, oh, they hate their person
You can
that they're
kind of
with.
tell.
This is something in stand up you see all the time,
Right.
where you're like, ugh.
Uh-huh.
Like
Well,
maybe
every
that-
bit comes from
truth.
something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was on the road once and someone was talking about like they were just like happy to be in a hotel room. And the way they talked about how happy they were to be in a hotel room without their kid and wife, I was like, whew, like, this is-
You know, like
must
I
be
think-
a brutal house to live in.
I think I'm very candid about how I feel about the kid and about having my wife and all that. Like, but there's no underlying tone of like he fucking hates this shit. Like
Right.
it's just a
Right.
very honest. Like it is tough having a child.
Right.
It impacts your relationship, but it's never like this fucking
To shit on it. Yeah.
bitch kid of mine.
Right.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
The slow eating,
Yeah, you know.
milk not drinking,
Dairy
piece of
allergy
shit
habit. Yeah, no,
kid.
it's
Yeah.
never that.
Do you feel like because you were together for so long before you had this kid that you kind of like, you're like, are you happy you had a long time with just the two of you? Do you feel like that like built a stronger base or?
For sure, I think for better for worse, we had a lot of fun when we were before we had a kid. There's always part of me is like, man, could I had a lot more fun? You know, like I think the time together gave us a strong foundation to be like, okay, we know who we are together and individually, and that kind of lets us know if we're upset at each other or like there's a tension in the house, like where that is coming from. And it's usually just like, oh yeah, like I haven't been out in like 3 weeks. I need to go out. Or my wife would be like, I need to go out. I'm like, yeah, that would like going out with these 3 friends is something you did almost on a bi-weekly basis. You need to maintain that. And that you kind of just like that strong like time together helped establish like what our patterns, how our patterns have changed and like what needs to go back to that pattern so we can feel like our normal people again.
Right. And you built the foundation to like probably understanding what the other person's needs are.
Yeah. But that I'm sure it could have
happened less time than 10 years. Okay.
But my stand-up took off in like 2021. Like until then I was like a middling comic, you know, I had a few writing jobs here and there, but I wasn't the touring working comedian that I was until like 3 or 4 years ago.
That's why we deleted your episode.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. No one's gonna see it. But it like a big calculus to having a kid for me at least was like you need to have money to have a child.
Right. I mean, you talk about that a lot.
I talk about that a lot.
You
like
know?
the feeling like you can feel like a man.
Yeah.
Nimesh mentioned in the beginning the provider angle of like, can I
having
look at myself in the mirror?
Nothing makes having a kid easy, but money makes everything easier.
Right.
And having, some means to like provide.
And he didn't even know about TikTok monetization.
He's so mad at me.
The Freed Foundation. Freed Foundation.
What the fuck are you doing?
We're calling you dead.
We want to make sure that Nimesh's baby can go to college. And,
She ain't going to college.
She'll be on TikTok. Make more money that way.
She's got her
Not
account.
going to be on TikTok.
And we'll be back on Wednesday.
Boom.